When her husband received military orders to move their family to South Korea, today's guest made a decision that completely changed the way she viewed homeownership. What followed were some of the most unimaginable hardships someone could endure. But today, Alicia and her family are back in the States, choosing to rent their primary home as they build their dream vacation home on the Mississippi coast.
What if your 401k came with a fire pit and a lake view? That's the question that inspired it all. I'm Katie Klein, and living in New York City meant buying a home felt impossible. So I decided to flip the script and buy my second home first. When I'm not there, it doubles as a short-term rental, covering its costs, building equity, and even turning a profit. And best of all, it gives me a place to vacation for free. What 401k can do that? Every week, join me as we hear from real people who've done the same and experts who can help you do it too. If you thought owning any home, let alone a second one, was out of reach, this is the show for you. This is Second Home First.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Second Home First. I'm your host, Katie Klein, and today we have a really exciting Real Stories episode for you all. I am chatting with Alisha Rae, an oncology nurse, military wife, and mama to two girls. Alicia's story starts out in a more traditional way with buying her primary home. But when her husband received orders to move the family to South Korea, everything changed. Instead of selling their home, she decided to keep it and rent it out as a midterm rental. That one decision completely changed the way Alisha thought about homeownership and real estate. It gave her flexibility, created an additional income stream, and provided her a creative outlet for her personally. After navigating some unimaginable hardships, Alisha and her husband and their two girls are now renting their primary home in Mississippi while they build their dream vacation home an hour away. In today's episode, we speak about why Alisha views this unconventional approach to homeownership as a lifestyle play, how real estate became a financial backbone for Alisha during one of the hardest seasons of her life, and how the second home first strategy isn't just for those of us who live in big cities, but for anyone who wants more flexibility, more options, and more intentionality in their life. Also, have you heard? We have officially launched a self-guided version of the Second Home First Academy. Inside the new Self-Paced Academy, I walk you through the exact 4-step framework I used to find, finance, and furnish my 3 vacation homes that all pay for themselves. And best of all, it's now available for a significantly reduced price, plus an additional 40% off for a limited time if you sign up for the Second Home First newsletter. Visit buyyoursecondhomefirst.com/academy to sign up today. Finally, I apologize for being a little raspier than usual. I know you probably didn't think that was possible. My 1-year-old brought home the virus du jour from daycare, so please bear with me. And now, without further ado, let's hear from Alisha. Alisha, where were you living when you decided to buy your second home first?
At the time, we were living in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And so a little bit about our story, we actually bought our primary home first in 2016. Fast forward to 2022, we are a military family. We received orders, and in the military, you can literally go anywhere they tell you to go. We received orders to South Korea. It was a 3-year tour, and it was an accompanied tour. So that means that I was able to go along with my husband. Sometimes tours you're not able to go, but that was that. And we decided that we were going to try this rental thing out and really take the leap of faith. We knew that we were going to be flying overseas to start a brand new life. And we were like, you know what? We might possibly get orders back to Virginia in the future. We have a great home here. Why don't we keep it and turn it into a rental? And so we did things a little bit backwards. So we bought our primary home, but then we turned it into a second home. And we decided to keep all of our furniture there, literally all of our belongings, beds, mattresses, pillows, towels, everything. And we left it all behind. And it has been fully rented ever since for the last 4.5 years.
Wow. I love this too, because what you're showing is you might be somebody who actually took the more quote unquote traditional path. You know, you guys got married, you bought your primary home, And then you have this untraditional moment where you guys are moving to South Korea. You're not exactly sure how long you're going to be there. And you think, wait, what are my options here? I don't necessarily just have to sell my house because I'm leaving.
Yeah, we decided to go the more untraditional route per se. The real estate market was very, very hot at the time, and a lot of people we saw selling and making a profit on their home from the sale. But we decided, why don't we hang on to it a little bit longer, give this thing a try, keep all of our furniture there, and we turned it into what's called a midterm rental. And for maybe your listeners who aren't familiar with that strategy, it's a rental that is fully furnished, but anything over 30 days. So it's not necessarily a short-term rental like a true Airbnb, but we attract a lot of people who are out of their homes from a flood, a fire. That we've had a lot of military families in transition staying. We've had a lot of traveling professionals like traveling nurses and physicians stay. So it's been a wonderful opportunity for not only us, but for people moving into the area for a shorter amount of time.
What made you choose to do midterm rentals instead of short term rentals?
Regulations. Our area is incredibly strict with regulations. You're probably familiar with that in New York City. And so we got around that by doing anything greater than 30 days. So that's sometimes it's anything greater than 60, 90, depending on the city that you're in, but ours was 30. So we decided to give it a shot and it's been working tremendously.
I really love that you said that too, because I think a lot of times when people are going through this process and figuring out where they want to buy, sometimes we have a dream destination in mind that we are emotionally tied to, and the regulations don't support a short term rental. But what you're showing is there are ways that you could still actually generate income and get a place to vacation for free that abide by the laws, because that is definitely what we want to do, follow the rules.
Yes, yes, you're exactly right.
You also talked about hosting military families. And I think what's really cool about that, I say this all the time, is we don't need to spend too much time thinking about the demographics and psychographics of our guests. By and large, a lot of times they are us. And so I imagine that you guys really knew how to cater to military families because you are one.
Yes, that's exactly right. We are now a family with two little girls. And so we knew that it is truly not realistic for a family of four and two dogs to live in a hotel, a tiny little hotel room. There's no doors for the baby, the kids. And so we knew that we wanted to provide this type of rental that we would need to future families coming to the area to live comfortably and have that comfortable transition because you're uprooting your entire life from somewhere else every 2, 3, 4 years in the military. And it's hard. And so the best thing that we can provide is a comfortable transition for these families to get used to their new lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. So are you guys still currently in South Korea?
We are not in South Korea anymore. We actually, 2 months after we had moved there, we were surprisingly pregnant with our first daughter. And 2 weeks after that, I got the phone call that my mom was very sick. And so I know that we relate to that story a lot. I actually ended up flying back home emergently to help my mom through surgery and help my mom through her cancer treatments. It kind of aligned in the fact that I was previously an oncology nurse and I knew that I had to be there for her and with her during this really scary time. And we didn't know what our life looked like. I didn't know if I was going to go back to South Korea. We had 3-year orders over there. I was pregnant. There was a lot going on. And I say this time and time again, real estate was like our backbone during this like scary time because we still had that rental to rely on for that extra income during this crazy period in our life. And what happened was I actually ended up staying in Wisconsin for the full 3 years, had our baby. My mom is now well. She got through her treatments. And I ended up staying there. And my husband was overseas for the 3 years. So we were figuring out this new parent life, separated. Luckily, he was able to be back for the birth, but he was back and forth just trying to visit us while he could. And yeah, it was a really crazy time in our life, that's for sure.
We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors. If you're listening to the show, I know making memories with family and friends is super important to you. And that's why I'm excited to introduce you to Flightographer. Flytographer connects travelers with local photographers in more than 350 destinations around the world. But it's more than just a photo shoot. It's a way to capture meaningful memories and experience a place through a local's lens. When I look back on past Flytographer photo shoots I've done, I don't just see pictures, but special moments preserved. I remember the feeling of that day and the story behind every shot. Whether you're celebrating a milestone birthday, a family vacation, or a special getaway to your second home, Flytographer is there to capture the moments you never want to forget. To book your own Flytographer shoot, visit the link in the show notes and use code SHF25. That's S as in second, H as in home, F as in first, 25 to get $25 off your first shoot. When I was finally ready to rent out my vacation home, I had no idea what to charge guests. Thankfully, that's when I found Price Labs, a dynamic pricing tool that helps me automate pricing like a pro. It's simple. Price Labs uses real-time data to automatically adjust my rates based on local demand, nearby events, and booking trends. It's easy to use, lets me set my own minimum and maximum prices, and keeps my pricing smart and competitive without any manual work. If you want your vacation home to pay for itself or even turn a profit, you need Price Labs to help you get the most from every booking. Visit the link in the show notes and enter code SECONDHOMEFIRST, all one word, for a 30-day free trial plus $10 off your first invoice. And now back to the show.
I think if you took one of those situations, that would be the hardest time in someone's life. You had newly pregnant for the very first time. You had your mom's diagnosis. You had a not even transatlantic, like a transcontinental, completely opposite sides of the world, long, long, long distance relationship with your husband. I mean, you had so much going on. And it's really beautiful to hear how you speak about real estate during that time, because I think a lot of times this can be perceived as like maybe fluffy, or, we've talked about how untraditional this approach is. And especially a lot of like what military families go through is very untraditional. Like you said, moving and uprooting your lives so often. And so to have that kind of common thread and the ability to have the flexibility to not say, oh, I have to go stay in this home. Like you could pick up and be with your mom. And I'm sure she really appreciated that.
Oh, yes. Yeah. It was just so meaningful that I was with her every single treatment. I took her there with my dad and I sat beside her during the long chemotherapy days. And yeah, honestly, I saw that how much real estate did for us, just the one home that we had, and supplemented us in that way, that we decided that I was going to actually purchase a home in Wisconsin close to my family. It was a very old home, and I did a live-in renovation when I was pregnant. We started that, and then throughout my journey as a new mom, and my husband overseas, very far away, thousands and thousands of miles away. And the goal, though, was always to sell that house and make a profit off of it and roll it into the next investment, which was going to be hopefully a vacation home. And that fast forwards to today.
Wow. Okay. So is your husband back from South Korea?
He is back. We've been back in the States for a year, and we got new orders to Mississippi. Never heard of Mississippi in my life. I knew nothing about it, knew nothing about the South. And it's been a really wonderful place to raise our daughters together. We now have two. And it's just been a really family oriented, that Southern feel. You really feel it here.
Wow. I mean, we already talked about how much you had on your plate during that first pregnancy. I didn't even realize you added a live-in renovation to your list. I mean, moms are amazing. You are incredible. So now that you guys are living in Mississippi, where is the vacation home? And do you still have that first property as well?
We still have the first property. We actually added in a second one sometime in the mix thereafter. But right now, when we got orders down to Mississippi, I was 7 months pregnant with our second baby. And we knew that finding a primary house to purchase with 2 months left, finding a doula, finding my midwife, because I did home birth, we knew that that was going to be a really tough to do that in 2 months. And so we decided to find a beautiful rental here 4 bedrooms, 2 bath, an amazing primary home for us to rent. And we knew that from the proceeds from the renovation I did, we would then put that into a vacation home. So about 2 months after we had our second baby, we started looking at different markets all along the coast from Mississippi to Florida. And really nothing was like coming up within our buy box. And about 6 months after that, we had an opportunity present to us that a developer had land that needed to be developed, and we decided to build our second home.
Wow. And
Yep,
is that in Mississippi?
that is now in Mississippi, and we are about 1 week up from closing.
You know what I love too about what you're talking about is I started down this path because I'm living in New York City, which is very understandably and well known to be exorbitantly expensive. And I think for people who know nothing about Mississippi, like you before you moved there, like me probably still to this day, you would assume like, oh, housing is so affordable there, like who would need to do it this way? And yet, you are showing that it doesn't necessarily just have to be a choice only because you can't afford your primary home. You had other factors going on in your life, a baby arriving in 2 months, an existing child all ready to take care of and to make sure that she felt settled. And you saw from real estate that you had purchased previously how lucrative that could be and what kind of optionality and freedom that can give your family. So I just think it's really important for people to hear that you had that down payment that you probably could have put into a primary home, but because of other factors, you were like, the time is now actually to go for our vacation home.
Yes, that is absolutely true. We had the funds to buy a primary, but I knew, like you were saying, how lucrative short-term rentals in particular can be. And so we decided to, just stay renting because we were very undecided. We didn't know what we were going to do. We could have bought that primary. But as we got settled here and learned the market a little bit more and learned that we actually do love where we're renting, why don't we invest this into a short-term rental? And that's what we're doing.
I think it's so important too, and anyone who has moved will know this, but you don't really know a place, even a neighborhood, until you live there. Like when we first moved to London, we lived on this little tiny dead end street, and we were like, oh, how great. It's so quiet. It's so lovely. Well, what we didn't know was that in the evening, sometimes drug deals would happen in cars there because it was so quiet and desolate, right? You don't know that until you live in a place. And then conversely, our second property, we thought that we wanted to move to this area, Saratoga Springs in upstate New York. But we were like, what if we don't like it? What if we like uproot our life, pick up our kids? I mean, this is going to be laughable to you because you're like, we do this every 2 years. But like in my head, I was like, we're going to pick up and move into a rental up there. And then, like, what if we don't like it? Then we're starting from scratch. And now the kids are in school. And like, what do we do? So for us, it was like, well, let's buy a vacation home there because it's a good short term rental market. It will cover its costs and then some. And then we can actually spend a lot of time there to make sure we like it. And in my head, I kind of thought, oh, we'll probably buy our house on the other side of this main street because in my head, I heard it was nicer. And the more time I spent there, I was like, actually, no, I love this location right here. So you're just showing like how many options we can open up for ourselves.
Yeah, I just think that renting it, your primary gives you so much optionality. And for us, we move all the time. And for this applies to anybody that has a job that moves them all the time, very frequently. You can test out different markets very strategically without being tied to a permanent residence. And so that's like what we did. We knew that we wanted to test out the waters here. We knew nothing about this market. We knew nothing about surrounding a market. And so we just took the time while renting and just drove to these little cute, quaint coastal towns around the South. And that's how we experimented and found the market that we ultimately landed on.
And how is the build currently going?
It is going fantastic. We couldn't have dreamed of a better home to build. It's still so surreal that we're building. Like I never thought this was going to be in our wheelhouse ever. And it's just very surreal. And, I was getting really impatient with our timeline, to be quite honest. I saw a lot of people in the industry, building up their portfolio a lot quicker than me, but I had a lot of factors going on in my life.
Alicia, that is literally the understatement of the year. You had a lot of factors.
I think that you would just I put a lot of pressure on myself, and stepping away from a career as a nurse previously, I just felt I truly love contributing financially to my family. I do love working. And so real estate for me was not only a way to do that, but it's my creativity outlet. It is like my passion now. I did fall in love with real estate, and it's just been my thing as a mom, but also able to be home with my girls and raise them and also contribute financially to my family and have that outlet of creativity to design and furnish these beautiful places. And I just truly fell in love with it, honestly. And so yeah, my build is going fantastic. I can't believe we're almost done. It's truly the vacation home that we have dreamed about along the coast. It has an in-ground pool and spa. It's a stilt house, so it's way up high in the air. It's just amazing.
Wow. Wow. That's incredible. And honestly, like that comparison that we all do,
Yes.
it's really, really frustrating. I just had a similar situation recently where, we were featured in the New York Times and I was talking to Janelle Gallucci, a mutual friend of ours who was also in the article. And, I was, comparing different things and go, oh, she looks so good in her photo. And she's going, oh, but I didn't get to have my makeup done like you did. And like, we're both focusing on what we're lacking and I'm like, hang on, what are we doing? Like everything that you have accomplished, take all the real estate aside with all of those challenges that you were dealt. That alone is like 17 books worthy of accomplishments, right? And yet in your head you're going, I'm not growing fast enough. And I'm sure someone's listening going, "What? This girl is amazing. Like how does she not see it?" So let that be a reminder to anyone listening or watching you are doing the same thing, I'm sure, and we all need to just be a little nicer to ourselves.
That is so true. That is so true.
We'll be right back after a quick word from our sponsors. You finally bought your dream vacation home. Now what? Your goal is for it to pay for itself, but between managing bookings, guest messages, and cleaners, it can feel like a full-time job. That's where Lodify comes in. Lodify is a comprehensive vacation rental platform that makes it easy to manage and market your second home, even if you're just getting started. From syncing your calendar across Airbnb, Vrbo, and Booking.com to automating payments and guest communication, Lodify simplifies it all. It's built for beginners and comes with free one-on-one onboarding to help you get up and running fast. To make your second home start working for you, visit the link in the show notes and use code HOME20 to receive an additional 20% off their yearly and bi-yearly plans.
Interior design is one of my favorite parts of buying a second home. I love creating a beautiful space. But let's be honest, staying on budget, managing orders, tracking deliveries, and juggling countless retailers can get overwhelming fast, which is why so many hosts turn to Minoan. With Minoan, you can shop more than 180 brands you love all in one place. That's brands like Crate and Barrel, Samsung, Anthropologie, Article, Casper, and so many more. They give you access to better than trade pricing, something typically reserved for professional designers, allowing you to save on every purchase. They keep every order, delivery, and receipt organized in one clean dashboard. And the best part, there's no membership fee, no subscription, no catch, just a streamlined approach with big savings. Once your second home is set up, Minoan can even make it shoppable. Your place basically becomes a four-walled influencer. So after guests spend a weekend obsessing over your couch or those sheets or that coffee maker, they can scan your QR code and order the exact same item for their own home. You earn a commission, no extra work required. To furnish smarter, visit minoan.com/secondhome to sign up and receive a free $25 in credit. Finding the right cleaning team has been absolutely crucial to the success of my second homes. They're my eyes and ears on the property when I'm not there, spotting issues early, keeping standards high, and helping me wow guests time and again. But finding someone local you actually trust, that wasn't always easy until I found Turno. Turno connects you with vetted cleaners who understand the demands of short-term rentals in your specific market. Their app makes everything simple, from auto-scheduling your cleans to photo and video checklists that ensure your property looks exactly the way you want, and even automatic payments after each clean is completed. Click the link in the show notes to check out Turno and get $25 off your first cleaning. And now back to the show.
So I like to think about vacation home owners in one of three camps. One is they're a profit maximizer. So that means they're really focused on how much money the house can make. And if the house is not booked by paying guests, then their schedule is flexible enough, they're going to go enjoy it then. On the opposite side, we have first dibbers. That's somebody like my friend Tyler, who is also in the New York Times piece. He is a school teacher. So him and his family go to their vacation home every year for the entire summer. That is going to displace a lot of important revenue for them, but it doesn't matter. That's why they bought the home. So they'll rent it when they're not there to try and offset some costs. And then somewhere in between, we have the sweet spotter, which is someone who tries to do a little bit of both. They're going to block off some high revenue days because that's when they want to use it, but they're also going to defer to paying guests sometimes. So I know your vacation home is not officially done and live yet, but where do you think you're falling on that spectrum?
Well, I would like to say that I'm the sweet spotter where we're enjoying it from time to time, but I know for a fact that when the revenue comes, I'm going to shift more towards camp one for sure. Because ultimately that is like the most important piece for us is the profitability of this and, supplementing our income and preparing for my husband's retirement in 5 years. And so, yeah, when I think about it, that is our goal. We are preparing for my husband's retirement and gearing up for that. And so it's just amazing though, because this property is only an hour away from us. And so it's going to be very easy for us to just take the girls an hour down the road and hop in the car. If there's a vacant night, we'll stay there. And so our other properties were so much further away that we haven't been able to do that. I've only been back to my property one time in the last 5 years. So, but that's to show that you can operate these from anywhere in the world. I was in South Korea operating these properties. I was in Wisconsin and my properties are in Virginia. And so I've really just learned how to do this remotely. But for this one, we're so much closer that it's going to be great to enjoy ourselves and remember that we did also, besides the profitability, build this for a lifestyle play. It's going to be a great place to bring our little girls to swim during the day and go to the beach and enjoy the amazing seafood. And so I also have to remember that as well.
And when you were in South Korea, how did you manage your guests? Did you do it all yourself or did you have like boots on the ground?
My boots on the ground team has been my number one asset. I have a cleaner who has been my ride or die. She owns the property more than me, honestly. I give her the control to own the property and it makes her feel so much more invested in the property. She does feel like it's hers too. It's her baby. It's her business just as much as mine. I also have handymen, but South Korea time is like 12 hours different. So it's completely different time zones. And so I did have to hire a VA while I was over there.
Yeah. And how did that go? How did you find that person? And were they able to keep up your standards that you would want for your guests?
And if I'm being very truthful, it was very hard for me. It's the first time I've had to step out of my role that I actually love so much. I do truly like guest communication and, talking to guests and showing them the area, what they can do around here. So that was a very difficult piece for me. If I'm going to be completely honest, I didn't train them as much as I should have because I just assumed that they were going to be this amazing VA for me and know the language that I speak to my guests. And so it was a huge learning curve for me. I feel like I got better as the months went by, but it was difficult.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that because I do think social media has a way of making things seem like easy and obvious and glamorous. And that's not the case. There are growing pains there. And if it's something that you want to take off your plate, that's a great option. Or a management company, a co-host, depending on, where you fall on the first dibber profit maximizer spectrum is an option as well. If you think back to buying your primary home, so maybe that was a little less scary because you probably saw it as your primary home first, all the way through now purchasing this land to build your vacation home. Did you have any fears or concerns along the way?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, now that this would be our fourth property that we're buying, it's still so scary. You can run the numbers all you want, you can analyze markets all you want, but it is still a really scary decision. And I just don't think that will go away for me personally. It gets a little bit easier, but it's still a huge risk that you are taking. But in my past experience, the risk has always been worth the reward.
I'm so glad you said that. I just had a Second Home First Academy member make an offer on her second home first in the Poconos. And she was over the moon excited. And then the 24 hours after, she went into full panic mode. And I told her that I was like, I feel this way every single time. I've bought 3 properties now, 4 if you count our long term rental back in London in the UK. And every single time I feel petrified. And I've actually heard another real estate podcaster who's been investing in real estate for like 20 years. I can't even imagine how many deals he's done. And he said, every single time I sit at that closing table, I'm terrified. So I do think that that's important for people to hear because in a way, we're almost taught that when you feel that, it's like your gut sounding the alarm. But actually, as long as you've done your due diligence, your homework, you've like prepared as much as possible, just know that, like, that's just you being uncomfortable, which is good. It means you're doing something different.
Yes. And honestly, I would be a little bit nervous if people didn't have that feeling. Like, what are they really in it for? And I think that I'm probably speaking for you too. We feel this because we take so much pride and joy into these properties, and we really want it to make it an incredible guest experience. And I do this for the love of hospitality too. And so a lot of my fear comes from that piece. Like, are guests going to love it? What are they going to say about it? What are my reviews going to be like? Is it everything that I dreamed of creating? And so a lot of those fears come from that too. Also, because it's a huge risk financially, and you're putting so much love and money into the furnishings, the designs, the work that goes into it, that's the scary part too. But ultimately, it's because we truly care about what we're doing.
Absolutely. When you decided that you were moving to Mississippi and you were going to rent and then you were gonna buy this vacation home, was there anyone in your life who really questioned that idea of buying your second home first?
People think that I'm so crazy. People actually think that we're building this home to move into still. Like, it's such a foreign concept that people are not understanding. Even my own family members very close to me were like, when are you going to be moving in? And I'm like, maybe I'm not telling this story like clear enough, but it's such a foreign concept to people that it's really hard for them to understand. I think now that I'm sharing it more clear on social media, people are starting to, but honestly, people thought we were going to be moving into this house, but we are building a vacation rental for other people to rent first.
Right, right, and almost in a way, I have found this too, any kind of untraditional decision I make, people create their own narrative, and I used to get really defensive over it or try to, like, over explain, and now I'm just kinda like, "Yep, sure, that's the way it's gonna go." If that makes it feel understandable and palatable to you, it doesn't need to make sense to everybody else as long as it makes sense for you and your family.
100%. I couldn't agree more. And this is what's making sense for me and my family right now. And so many others, though. It's just amazing, like with listening to other guests on your podcast, like the more that you get around people and the more that you listen to people doing this unconventional route, the more it does make sense maybe for a person that's trying to live out whatever dreams they have. And so I'm just so glad to have found this route. And I can't believe that we're actually doing it, honestly.
I couldn't agree more. That is my favorite thing about these Real Stories episodes is because I started doing this. I felt so alone. I had all the same naysayers in my life being like, I don't understand. You're going to own this place, but you're going to throw your money away on rent, all the same things that we hear. And I thought it was crazy. And it was only after we launched our second property and I saw that it was booked every single weekend, all of May through all of November, that I was like, this is not a fluke. This is a strategy. And still, I felt very alone. And then starting to do this podcast and talking to people like yourself and others, you're right. Like, hang on, other people are doing this too. And the coolest thing is everyone has their own motivations for doing it. Not everyone's path is exactly mine. Your story is so completely different than mine with everything that you've gone through with being a military wife and moving around and everything. And yet, you and I came to essentially the same conclusion of what works best for our family.
That's so true. I love that it can be a tool for so many different pathways in life. It is really cool that our stories are so different, but we ultimately are doing the same strategy. I love that you use the word strategy because that's what it is. It's a strategy to build wealth for our families. It's a strategy to give us a little bit more freedom that we might not have had before.
What would be your final piece of advice for anyone who's considering doing the same?
Yeah, my final piece would be when I just think back to like before I started doing this, I really didn't have a lot of people around me. The best thing that I did for myself, honestly, and I still do, is listen to podcasts and get in the same room as people who are doing it. Because you do feel a little bit crazy when other people are not doing this. They're naysayers. They think that it's just weird what you're doing almost. But when you get around people and listen to people who are doing it, it makes it feel a little bit more normal. And that's what I would say to people, honestly. And that's what I did. I was obsessed with listening to podcasts for 4 years, 4 years. And I still am obsessed with listening to podcasts and just going to different conferences when I can. And it really is the energy in the room that will make you feel different and give you that confidence. Because really what it is a lack of confidence in this strategy and investing in real estate and doing the unconventional things. So,
That is excellent advice. That's actually how you and I met in person at a conference. And you're right. Like to go from feeling so alone and so crazy and be in the room and look at other people who are doing the same thing, who are maybe even doing it at a bigger scale or a faster scale than you, all of a sudden you're like, here's my people. I'm not alone after all.
yes, yeah, it feels so comforting to be in those rooms and just be surrounded by people and being in rooms that people are doing it even bigger when you that you could have even imagined. I mean, building these micro resorts, these treehouse farms, the farm stays, it's like so incredible what people are doing in this industry. And so it's just exciting too, because I truly feel like this is kind of like just the beginning for me, although I've been, technically in the industry for like 4 or 5 years, but I feel like there's just still so much more. And I just love learning about everyone's different pathways and just taking inspiration from different people. So
Alisha, this has been so much fun. Thank you so much for joining us today.
thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to Second Home First. If you liked what you heard today, be sure to sign up for my free weekly newsletter at buyyoursecondhomefirst.com, where I share the simple 4-step strategy to help you do the same. If you have a minute to subscribe, rate, or review the show, or even send a favorite episode to a friend, that would mean the absolute world to me. And if you want to be a guest on the show, have a question you want answered, or a topic you think I should cover, send me a note at hello@buyyoursecondhomefirst.com or on social media at buyyoursecondhomefirst. I personally read and respond to every single message. Once again, I'm your host, Katie Klein, and I can't wait to see you all again next week. The content shared on Second Home First is for educational and informational purposes only. Please consult a licensed financial advisor before making any investment or financial decisions.